Yo, 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 we're rolling. Welcome back, team. We all right? How are we doing? We are back with another episode of the AT Fit podcast. We're going to talk about the beginner's guide to strength, everything it entails, how I would structure a program if someone wants to come into the gym. And it's not necessarily just strength training, a lot of it is just like foundational and functional strength. We throw that word functional out there quite a bit. What does that mean? Well, it means we're not just sat on a machine and moving in the plane of motion that it allows us to move. You know, we are lifting weights, we are moving under resistance in many planes of motion, and in all these different ways our bodies can move, and being able to control that movement and not being too crazy about it when we come into the gym. So, welcome to another episode. I am going to try and be more consistent. I feel like I say that every episode. If I do, give me a backhand with a wet fish. That's absolutely fine. But we're here, we're doing it, and we're moving forward. So, beginner's guide to strength. What would I structure it like? I would say 5x5. Done and dusted, and we're out. For those moderate to advanced lifters out there, or for someone who just likes reading up about training, but not necessarily for them, they would have heard of about a 5x5 program before. 5x5 program, bloody hell, that's a lot of fives, is simply 5 sets of 5 reps on one exercise, and then you're done. Obviously, that's not your entire session, but it's a good place to start. So, what would I structure my 5x5 training program like? I would do 4 days a week. It'd be a lower upper program, so one day would be lower body, the next day would be upper body, and then you would repeat that. There is an option for a rest in the middle. That is absolutely cool. And there's also an option for a cardio day, and that sort of thing. But we are in the business of lifestyle as well. So, the motto on AT Fit is the lifestyle of fitness. We don't always want to be within the gym. I encourage you guys to do the cardio, to do the moving, to just see the scenery in the city or the beautiful countryside that you live in. Get out, get moving, and enjoy life. Enjoy your fitness outside of the gym. Like improve it within the gym, and then fuck off and get out and enjoy it. So back to the business at hand. 4 days a week. All right, 4 days a week. Number one, Monday. Never miss a Monday. I always like squatting on a Monday, so I go, all right, we're going to squat on Monday. We're going to do 5x5 on squats. Say, for example, you can complete a set of 5. It's going to be an RPE, so rated perceived exertion of around 7 to 8. 7 to 8 meaning if it's 8 reps, you'd be able to complete another 2 to 3 left in the tank before you start failing. All right, so you will comfortably be able to complete 5x5. It will be a struggle, but it's not like it's going to absolutely murder you and going to take a hernia out as getting up from the 4th or 5th set. So we'll go 40 kilos, 5x5. All right, week after, we'd add 2.5 kilos to that lift and do 5x5. So week after, we'd do 2.5 kilos and do 5x5. So we're trying to create a linear progression for as long as possible. Is that going to be the case forever? Is it balls? Because if that was the case, every human on the planet that I've been training for the past 10 years will be bench pressing a 500 kilos, squatting 1,000, deadlifting 1,500, simply because they're just adding 2.5 kilos every week. No, that will not happen. But for you beginners, ride that wave, start off moderate and just go for as long as possible. Yes, some weeks you'll add 1.25 kilos. Yes, some weeks you'll do exactly the same weight as the previous week for 5x5, which is fine. And then you can start playing around by 4x6s, or you can do 6x5s, or you could do a drop down set to get a little bit more volume in. But for beginners, for starting off, foundational strength, 5x5, add 2.5 kilos every week. So day 1, squat. Day 2, add bench. Day 3, deadlift. Day 4 would be a strict press or an overhead press. Okay, those 4 days, those 4 movements, so squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, strict press, military press, OHP, whatever you call it, it's the same movement, would be a 5x5. Can you use the 5x5 on any other movement? Yes, you can. So you can go hip thrust. You could go RDLs. You could go push press. You could use dumbbells. Like, you can adapt this training program to many things. Yes. However, let me get to that right now. So, main movements, main lifts on those 4 days: squat, bench, deadlift, strict press. Okay. Once we have completed 5x5 on that movement for that day, what I would do then is add 2 to 4 accessory lifts. Accessory lifts being the fluff, quote unquote, the fluff stuff. So, for example, that's where you bring in the dumbbells if you've used a barbell. That's where you use the unilateral stuff, i.e. one limb working on its own rather than, so for example, a dumbbell. We've got a dumbbell in each hand. I can press my right arm, but my left arm's not going to move because I've pressed my right. But if I put a barbell in my hand and I press the right, the left one's going to shift up. There you're working bilaterally. Unilaterally is one at a time. So, or you can go machines. You can go dumbbells, you can go kettlebells, you can go body weight. All these things are accessory, I would class them as accessory lifts. Less tax on the central nervous system, less wear and tear through the joints. You can add more volume in. It's not going to feel like it's going to kill you. I think for the athletes that listen to this who's done a set of 15 to 20 on a back squat, you genuinely feel like you're going to die. If you do a set of 15 to 20 on a dumbbell bench or a reverse fly machine, it might burn a little bit, but that's about it. On the back squat, for example, like you will feel like that barbell wants to murder you. So 2 to 4 accessory lifts. What would that look like? Well, I'd look at the functionality of your body. Okay, with a squat, obviously most things are moving. It's going to be a squat pattern, so knees and hips are going to be the most movers, with the ankles in there as well. With a deadlift, it's going to be a hinge pattern. With a bench press, obviously it's going to be primarily upper body, but we also need to use the legs to help drive and lock in. And then we're actually using our back too to be able to push back into the bench, lock in through the bar, try and break it. All these things, we get a little bit technical. And then a strict press, again, is a full body movement. So all 4 of those are compound movements. So we're going to be smashing through pretty much every muscle that is on your body. All right, so accessory movements. I'd look at, so take yourself. This is where you need to be a little bit, need to break down how you are as an athlete. So for example, for a squat, if you're a quad dominant athlete, so you feel like your quads take over on most things, then for the accessory stuff on the squat day, do some more hamstring stuff. Use the machine, lying hamstring curls, seated if you prefer, Romanian deadlifts. Not too heavy because you don't want to fry your nervous system going over to the deadlift 2 days later. But we can still add in these things. So unilateral stuff, if you're quite imbalanced as an athlete, you might have played sport as a kid and you're a skater, so you've always landed on one leg, or a basketball player always jumping from one leg, netball the same. Or you might have been recovering from an injury, or you might just be imbalanced as you are anyway. So I'd add them in there. Plus, work your core. And when I say work your core, I mean a lot of static stuff, a lot of holding weight, i.e., holding a sandbag if you have access to it, and just being able to control through the midline instead of just these crunches. They do have room in your program. That's absolutely fine. But most of the time, I would be working something called your TA, so your transverse abdominis, rather than your RA, your rectus abdominis. So your TA is that inner core, that inner weight belt. That's going to help stabilize through the spine a little bit more. All right, so every time we're working through the squat, the bench, the deadlift, and the strict press, when you breathe in, when you brace, I want you to be breathing into your belly. So you're pushing it out like you look like you're pregnant. All right? People are going to be like, well, Alex, you go into the gym, you kind of put on this facade or this persona, everyone's like prettier than they actually are. Everyone's, got a pump on, or they're wearing fucking booty shorts with the balls hanging out at the bottom and all that sort of stuff. No. Breathe into the belly, brace the core, protect that low back, and then press from there, then pull from there, then squat from there, whatever it is. Okay, that's really incorporating that TA, that transverse abdominis, rather than the RA, the rectus abdominis, so that six pack. We can work that at the end. That's more of the fluff stuff. All right. So, moving on. I digress a little bit more. 2.5 kilos every week on the 5x5, 2 to 4 accessories. If you're a quad dominant athlete on the squat, I'd work some hamstrings, some glutes. If you are hamstring dominant on the squat, then work a little bit more quad stuff. Like, it's pretty simple. Bench, really good ones. I like to incorporate my back on a bench day. I actually train not super heavy, but I like to train back before I go over and bench. I feel a lot more locked in to the bench when I'm pressing the bar off my chest, rather than my shoulders pronating forward. They can actually stay quite retracted and locked in. And also with the rear delts too, smashing through like some rear delt flies, some Y raises and V raises, some like bulletproof shoulders plate swimming. I will be getting videos on this because I'm basically giving it, in fact I have given it to every single one of my athletes I've got in person at the moment, and I want you guys to be able to know it. So I'm going to give you a little routine that I'll ping over to on the YouTube channel of obviously AT Fit. Real dead simple. Once you know what you're doing, less than 5 minutes and you can be done. It's plain and simple, and plain and nasty too. I'll get that done as soon as. Be patient with me, please, team. Right, so rear delt stuff, stability through the scaps, and then for a bench, like again, I look at myself as an athlete, and you got to be like self-critical. I'll be like, okay, on a bench press, I will always get it halfway up, even if I'm going for a PR. The thing that I'll struggle with will be locking out. So you dissect that lift, and you're like, okay, well, from the chest to halfway, it's predominantly going to be your pecs working, so your chest. And from halfway to full lockout, it's going to be the triceps are going to help you out. Yes, that's not completely true, and there's going to be secondary and auxiliary muscles that's going to be coming in there. But we're just going to talk about, plain and simple. We're going to break it down. All right. So for me, I'll be like, right, I'm going to add a lot more tricep accessories in because they need a bit more work. So I'd work on that. 2 to 4 exercises, not just for my triceps, but for all of it. Make sure I'm doing my stretching and mobility. I've activated before I've gone into the bench press, before I've gone into the squat the day before. Everything is mobile, mobility is good, I feel good, joints are lubricated, not with baby oil, you dirty bastards, but I actually moving them around and feeling through the sticky points and actually opening yourself up, doing some activation, some mobility, and all that sort of thing. Then, day 3, we go over to the deadlift. Okay, deadlift might take you a little bit more time, especially when you start getting heavy on that 5x5. You're going to need a little bit more rest in between. Okay, so with a deadlift, what would you add for accessory stuff? Again, for me, injury in my low back in the past, quite a few times. So I train my low back. All right, I like good mornings. I like seated good mornings. I like all that stuff. I also like box step-ups. I think they're absolutely fucking incredible. And then working my glutes too, because what athletic movement contains hip extension? Pretty much every single one. Okay, so I'll work through my glutes too. All those things. I like unilateral stuff, to be honest with you, team. When I finish deadlifting, so after deadlifting, I like going unilateral. Most sports are unilateral. When we run, we're unilateral. We're not jumping forward. When we jump, we're mainly unilateral. Everything is like one leg away from the other, and balance, coordination, and then also like muscular imbalances too to be able to fix. It's really important, and sometimes I have to, give myself a little bit of a rain check and say, right, don't go on a machine. Or if you do, work one leg at a time, work one arm at a time. It's a little bit different. Then, moving on, lastly, day 4, we're going to be going through the strict press. Strict press, i.e. bar's going to be on the front of your shoulders. You're going to move your chin out of the way because you're ugly enough. You don't want to twat yourself in the chin. You're going to press that bar above the head. As soon as the bar goes past the head, you're going to push your head through. And then you're going to punch the bar through the ceiling so the bar is over your center of mass, i.e. over your shoulders, over your hips, and over your ankles. I know I've just basically said that in a really, really quick way, but it's a little bit more tricky than that. So from there, I'd want, obviously everything's locked in, just like with the squat, just like with the bench and the deadlift. We're working through the core too, so we're pushing that belly out, so we're pregnant. So we look like we're pregnant. We're not actually pregnant. I need to clarify that. What would I do for accessory for that? Again, scap stuff. Really, mid-back work is something that is underdeveloped for most athletes. This is going to sound really weird, but in any gym, if you took everyone's shirt off and looked at their mid-back, most of the time, it's quite underdeveloped. So you look at them and are like, some athletes are trap dominant, some athletes are lat dominant. But that mid-back is actually quite difficult to train in some regards, because it's hard to be able to get that mind-muscle connection to be able to smash through that. So I would try and target some mid-back work. Some pull-aparts are really good to be able to get the rhomboids and be able to get the rear delts in there. Some also closer grip work with any pull-downs and seated rows, and then just focusing on like shifting where your elbows are going to finish. If you're in a seated row and you shift those elbows up a little bit higher, we're going to be incorporating a little bit higher on that back. And then also with the close grip pull down on a lat pull down machine, but then obviously you just change the attachment, a slight lean back, so that slight arch, and you're going to row or pull down that bar, so it's going to hit you in the top of the upper chest, and really feeling those scaps, so those shoulder blades just like retracting together and really squeezing everything. That again is going to be your best friend. And then throughout all this team, I want you to be working through a 5x5 on the strict pull-ups too. Strict pull-ups are an incredible accessory thing. Everyone should be doing it, whether you're an athlete or not. Well, everyone is an athlete where you walk in the gym, but whether you consider yourself as an athlete or not, everyone should have the ability to pull themselves up to a bar. So if you can do 10 reps of pull-ups, then you drop it down, you add weight to yourself, and you go 5x5, and again you add 2.5 kilos or 1.25 every week. If you can't, that's absolutely cool. You can go through negatives, you can go through ring rows, horizontal rows, which I do have a video on, so go over to that on the AT-FIT channel, I guess you can call it, on YouTube. Or you do have those assisted pull-up machines if you are in a commercial gym, which are cool. If you want to use that, that's absolutely fine. It's not my biggest of preferences, but again, like, I'm not the one working out, you are. So if it helps you, like, absolutely go for it. So that body weight pull-in strength is really important. And then obviously we've got the basic movements of push-ups, which is actually pretty fucking hard. If you're doing it right and everything's locked in and your chest is on the floor and your hips are off and your quads are locked out, push-ups can be hard, team, and don't sort of, push an athlete down simply because they struggle on push-ups. Like, it's fucking hard, especially if you've, got a driving job or a desk job and we've sat down for the past, I don't know how many years. Like, if you don't use it, you lose it. We say that all the time, especially within a gym setting. If you don't use it, you lose it. And you might have been able to do it 10 years ago, mate, which is absolutely incredible, but you can't do it now. So let's forget about what you could do and let's focus on the now. So, team, to finish off, strength. Strength is simply the body's ability to generate force. That's it. That's all strength is. Okay? When you're coming into the gym, new person into the gym, that aren't against lifting weights, okay? At the end of the day, team, some people don't want to lift weights, and it is a free world. You can do what you want. If you don't want to lift weights, you don't fucking have to. It's simple. But if they're okay with everything, blah, 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 or you're okay with everything, you're coming into the gym, you're new to it, I'd say, right, we need to do the compound lifts. We need to be functionally and foundationally strong, okay? Just for, like, injury prevention, longevity, to stave off osteoporosis, to get some, i.e. like the whittling down and the brittleness of bones. We want strong bones, okay? Working on those compound lifts, adding in 2 to 4 accessory lifts, working on the core, and then enjoying the cardio outside the gym. Like, do you have to go nuts, going some HIIT training, bursting out the seams, your heart feels like it's going to explode and your lungs are bleeding? No. Can you? Yeah, go hard. Do it. It's cool. It's really cool to see how far your body can push. But do you have to do it to get fit? No, do you fuck? Like 10,000 steps a day, 4 times a week in the gym. You can even break it down to 3 times a week if you wished. You would just add the strict press and the accessories and spread it throughout the lifts throughout the other days. And then go from there, team. Stay consistent. Stay consistent. You know, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. But if you took one step and then stop there, you've not travelled 1,000 miles. It takes stepping and stepping and stepping, walking forward over time. Okay, yes, we are hunting down that linear progression for as far as possible. I.e., if you look at yourself on a graph, you've got the X and Y axis, it goes straight through the middle up to the top. We are looking for that, but also realise there's going to be an S shape going around that line. Some days you're going to feel like absolute garbage. You're going to dip down, it's going to be a trough. Other days you're going to come in, you're going to have a great sleep. You might have, I don't know, something really good's happened in life. You might go into a peak. You might ride that peak for a while, or you might ride that trough for a while. But team, it's all about creating that S shape around that linear progression. That's all it is, team. Okay? Hopefully that's helped. Beginner guide to strength, or beginner guide to a 5x5 coming into the gym. If you are thinking about coming to the gym, that's fucking cool. All right? It is an intimidating place. So I just want to say congratulations for thinking about it. If you are new to the gym, again, congratulations. That's fucking cool. I want to give you a high five, but obviously I can't because I'm talking into a microphone. And also, if you've been in the gym for a long time, again, that's fucking cool. Like, you are, every day you're making a decision, you know what, I'm going to do something, doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to do something to make me a better person tomorrow. Whether it's mentally a better person, emotionally a better person, spiritually a better person, physically a better person, doesn't fucking matter. Even if you're setting a better example, again, it doesn't matter. All right, team. Hopefully that has helped. Have a fucking banging day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace and love.